In this question for f dot dot, the interval a to b mapped onto R, where f of x is equal to tan minus x, where a is less than b, the range is. So you have to find the range of this function given the information that a is less than b and the interval from a non-inclusive to b inclusive is the domain. So once again, this is a restricted domain type question, and whenever you're trying to find the range or do something with the function and it has a restricted domain, it's always a good idea to look at the graph. So that's the first thing I'm going to do, sketch the graph of that function, and it's always a bit trickier with when it's just in terms of algebra or algebraic intervals rather than numeric intervals, because then you have to put the graph somewhere on the grid. So 10 minus x is a linear, -1 is the gradient, and y-intercept 10. So it's doing something like that. And all you're really told about the domain is that a is less than b. So if I make that, that's the x value there is a, and the x value here is b, then what you really have to do to work out the range is figure out the lowest y value, which is going to be here, and the highest y value, which is going to be here. So at this point here, the x value is b. That's the graph of the function. This is the function. So to work out the y value when x is b, all you do is sub b into here, and you end up with y is equal to 10 minus b. So that's the y value there. And at this point here, the coordinates there are a. It doesn't matter whether a is positive or negative. All you really need to know is that it's less, well, you're told, is that it's less than b, so it can go anywhere really, and it just happens to be in the negative part of the x-axis. So again, when you have this x value, subbing it into here, the y value will be 10 minus a. So squeezing that in here like that, it's a bit of a curvy bracket. And now the range is fairly easy to spot. So the lowest value is 10 minus b, and the highest value is 10 minus a. And what you have to look out for is these brackets. So when x is b, that value of b is included because of this square bracket. That means the y value or the corresponding y value when x is b, which is this one, must also have a square bracket. And then the round bracket here at a. So when a was subbed in, you got 10 minus a. So this point here is not included. So really that should be an open circle, and this one would be a closed circle if you had to draw that graph. So that means you're not going to include that point. And that is the range. And so that looks like it's this answer here, E. So that's how you do this type of question. Always when you find, with this type of question, when you're finding the range and they give you information in this form, if the domain is restricted, you really have to look at the graph to see what's happening. It's not obvious just from the simplicity of the function. It's just a straight line. So a lot of students just say, well, I'll sub a and b in. This is the lowest x value, this is the highest, and the values they get when they sub them in, they sometimes assume that the lowest x value here will give the lowest y value, and the highest x value in the domain will give the highest y value on the function. And without sketching it, they're making a false assumption there, and that's why it's important to draw the graph as I've done with this type of question. So that's about it for this lesson, and I shall see you in the next one.